The first house that my father built in Bermuda was Sunset Strip, up on top of Gilbert Hill. That's my mother walking up the hill, and it was the highest house on the hill. I think my father, Terry Brannon, bought the land together with other businessmen, including Francis Gosling, and they had a road cut through the whole estate, and it was all divided into lots, subdivided and sold off. And Dad built this house, which was right on the top, and it was called Sunset Strip. That's what they called it. It's now on its third owner. Dad sold it to a Canadian gentleman, Norman Riog, and when he passed away, I think his wife left it to some friends of hers who then sold it. It's actually on its fourth owner. But this is the house, as you can see, being constructed. It was constructed by Bermudians. Eugene Rayner was the general contractor. I do remember him. And in fact, I ran into him fairly recently, and I hope he will get to see this video. I did tell him that we had film of it, and that's my mother, my sister, and I think her friend Jackie Hahn, who was a neighbor. We lived at Claremont at the time, I believe it was, and myself, and we were coming up the stairs from where the garage was. And I think I'm saying there that that's my room. I had a room which faced the South Shore, and Marilyn's faced her window overlooked the dockyard, and that was my nana visiting from England. And you can see the workmen. It was being on top of the hill. There were times up there where it was very blustery, and you can see they were cutting slate, Bermuda slate, to build a traditional Bermuda roof. And they certainly don't look like government workers. They're all busy handing things up to each other, which is, back in those days, people actually did work for a living. But no, great house. Eugene Rayner certainly built it rock solid, because sitting on top of the second highest hill in Bermuda, you know, we have had many a hurricane over the years, and this house was built in the very early 60s. And it's withstood all the storms that nature's thrown at it. So it was a well-built house. And you can see that's the road that goes down to Verdmont Road. That's where Gilbert Hill met Verdmont Road. Now back to, you can see the men sitting on top of the roof. And it's my mother, and we obviously were having a walk around after school one day. That's my sister Marilyn in her Whitney Institute school outfit. She looks just like Nicola Feldman, my niece, or her daughter. Very similar they both were to how they looked when they were young. And that's a scene. You can see the dockyard in the distance there. That's a scene from top of Gilbert Hill. And that was our station wagon. I think some other people having a look, some friends of my mother's. That's my granny in Fort St. Catherine. Somehow that got sandwiched here in the middle. We obviously went on a little side trip to St. George's. And this is, the rest of this video is pretty much shows the interior of Sunset Strip. My mother was very sort of keen on Oriental, so she had this Oriental sort of small round sort of, not round, but an Oriental bar. And you can see the shoji screens that led into the living room. That was the front door, the cedar front door. And there were stairs that went down to the garage and to a storage area and so on and so forth.
Quietly to you I speak, in all the lands of me they seek, but you can be assured and rest. Bermuda eyes that shine my best, sunset in Bermuda, clouds go drifting by.
And this is a scene of the living room as you enter into the living room. Here I come, appearing, always got to pull my ears, the biggest ears in Bermuda in those days, till I had them pinned back. My sister Marilyn. She looks just like Nicola. Well, Nicola looks just like Marilyn did, I should say. And that was the dining room. It was a little dining room right off the kitchen and off the bar area. funny how you remember things. I always remembered this house as being a completely massive house, and when I went to see it not too long ago, it wasn't the, just as a kid you sort of think of things. It seems things seem bigger than they are when you get bigger. So it wasn't that big of a house. That was my Nana, Nellie Ware, visiting from Gosport, England, sitting at the bar. And of course, back in the early days of the 40s, my father used to have many entertainers up there and entertain them, and she's giving us a good old wave. Hi, Nana. Miss you, baby. And there she is now. She's sitting in the living room. And that was Gilbert Hill and Sunset Strip, the first and only house that my father and mother built in Bermuda. Everywhere else, we pretty much, I think, well, we owned a couple of other places, but we rented a lot of places too. Anyway, there we go. That's Sunset Strip, Gilbert Hill, Bermuda, back in the 60s.
I say, South Shore, Bermuda. I say, South Shore, Bermuda. It's just beautiful. Now the beauty about the South Shore is that you can take a taxi tour and capture all the true color in your camera.